It's a video and it's titled My Response. No ukulele, 2 out of 10. Okay, let's go. Let's see. I'm genuinely curious what he's going to say in this one and if it'll be good or not. Why can't I hear anything? The video's muted.
Did a stream and accused me of something very serious. I made a response and then she made a follow-up response. This is my response to her follow-up. Throughout this video, I'm going to be showing clips from some other people just for context. And just to make it clear, I don't want any hate to be sent to anyone, including these people. Here are the 2 tweets that I posted about this situation. These are now deleted as I only made them to let people know that I had intentions to make a response. And I didn't want people to think I was just completely radio silent in the time that I needed to make those responses. First of all, I just want to make it clear that my tweet that I put out after my first statement wasn't somehow admitting to guilt or completely backtracking on what I originally said. My perspective had changed due to new information that Katie had provided. So now I'm just going to go over Katie's new statement and talk about what she had to say. So first, she acknowledges the texts that I showed about them talking about wanting to play the drinking games are real, but that they were from her friends. So this is reasonable. I only brought up that point because the implication was that it was kind of creepy of us and we were forcing the game on them.
There was more alcohol in the room, and we were encouraged to drink some more as they offered the bottles to us and insisted on drinking games, and, already drunk, I obviously complied.
In reality, it was mutually talked about and everyone was just having fun. So next she mentions that one of the reasons she wanted to hang out in our hotel room was because there was another creator that was
Wait, I haven't seen her like response, I guess. This document that he's pulling up. Does anyone have a link to this? Because I guess we never read this. Oh, I think I found it. I found it. So it was this. This is what she had posted afterward. I didn't get a chance to look at it. For now, this is what I have to say. He admitted to touching me. So this is just for anyone who is a little lost. This is the response from Katie Bugs from the original VOD and this original stream that GeorgeNotFound did. So this is her responding to his original Twitch stream. He admitted to touching me and that I was drunk, that I didn't verbally consent. In my mind, the conversation is over. He said silence does not equal consent, and yet he never got verbal confirmation from me. He chose to move to a sexual act on the couch where everyone was hanging out without asking. I don't know how those 2 facts coexist. How I can consent when there was no question. How I can consent when drunk. I prepared proof of the idea that he wouldn't admit to it, that he would deny touching me or being there. But he admitted it, that I was drunk, that he touched me in front of everyone. That I never said yes, nor did he ask. If you still need more after hearing him admit those 2 simple facts, then there's nothing I can say that's going to change your mind. Which is correct, by the way. Like, she is responding to all of this in the right way. Because you have to understand, there are people on the internet that genuinely do want to change their mind or have the right opinion, or they're like, well, listen, he said this and this, what do you have to say about that? And those people are worth convincing because they're trying to be convinced and they want to believe you. But there's also people that don't give a fuck how much proof you show. They will always find somewhere in your proof to delegitimize your case. If you guys remember the instance with Kai Cenat's party in January, there was someone that came out and said that she was raped at his party. And as you would imagine, people being like, well, where's the proof? Where's the proof? She posts a bunch of DMs between her and Kai showing that she went to a hospital afterwards and she got a rape kit done. And she proves everything that is. She provides the evidence that these fucking losers online always ask for. The losers online, they're always like, why didn't they go to the police? Why didn't they get her kit done? Why didn't they do this? And she did all of that. And she proved that she did all of that. And do you want to know what people did? People said, well, in this photo you took showing that you're in the hospital, you don't even look that traumatized. You don't even look traumatized. Really? You're smiling after you were raped? Okay. Yeah, right. Like, the people who don't want to believe you are never going to believe you. It doesn't matter how much proof you pull up, they're not going to believe you. which is a crazy thing to say to someone, by the way, to tell them you don't look very raped. That's crazy to say that. I'm just gonna, uh, Pizza Putt, thank you for the 4 months. They said the same thing about Next when he was in the hospital. What does that even mean? Well, it's like you need to look more traumatized because you're saying something traumatic happened to you. So how is it that like the next day you're not automatically always being traumatized? Did you consider that? It's fucking it's so dumb. It's just so dumb. Anyways. I think the fact that I think she's right in not like trying to prove stuff to people who weren't going to believe her in the first place. Okay, so it says addressing the stream. As for the iMessages he showed outside of Instagram DMs, all proof was him showing a group chat that he wasn't even in, showing messages from my friends, which isn't me. The only message showing a response from me was when we asked about the drinking game we played. That was after we played it the first night, the night where nothing happened. I liked the game and I wanted to play it with other friends at the convention, so I asked for the name. I don't know how that's relevant to anything, which is exactly what I said when we watched his stream. The entirety of like him showing those DMs didn't prove anything. They literally didn't prove anything. All it proved was that she was interested in being there. That's it. Which, that's not a crime. Like, that doesn't prove anything. Like, why? Huh? So anyways, it says here why I went back because my friends wanted to, and I went with them everywhere they went in that trip. I also want to clear up that this all happened when I went back. Nothing happened the first night. Something I also did not admit at first because it's embarrassing and I thought it was irrelevant. Second night, another reason why I was willing to go back was I heard of a different creator who was in the room I wanted to meet, but when I found out they had left an hour earlier, I was already in the Uber. I'd forgotten this until looking back at the text where I said this to a friend the other day or the day after. Here are the Instagram DMs. But Blank brought me and Ghosty back to Dream's room to see him. And he said Blank was there too with some other people. So I was excited because I always wanted to get to know Blank. Blank left right before we showed up. So it's just Dream and George. And then we show up anyways. And I'm like, fuck, okay, drinking games, etc. Ghosty leaves to throw up. And then it's like 4 of us and we're all drunk. And it was honestly really weird because I was just drunk and too tired to comprehend what was happening. But we were up until 6:30 a.m. They were all fine. Like I said in my stream, I did have my age in my bio, like it is to this day. The messages were nothing insane, just banter. Like I said, I admitted to messaging him after. I never hid that fact. I was still considering myself lucky for what happened to me, even if I was uncomfortable and I didn't ask for it. I was hating myself around now, thinking I was ungrateful. But as you can see, nothing insane or proof-worthy being said. It's just banter. And then the DMs here say, I hope you got lost. I hope your elevator plummeted as soon as you stepped in it. I'm sorry for the bad news, but it didn't. And I made it back so easily and slept so well. Try harder to die next time. If you come to Dreams Hotel again tonight, I'm shooting your leg, so don't. Oh, awkward. You're not going to do shit. This is just like friendly banter. Why are you so busy? Surely you have time for me. You're not a popular guy. I have time, just not for you. And I am a popular guy. Just ask any girl you know. Okay. It's literally just banter. That's it. I don't, there's nothing here that's anything. Again, I felt lucky to be talking to a verified account, someone famous, someone trying to, someone I had followed and watched for a while. I was uncomfortable with what happened, but I was trying to swallow it and suck it up so I didn't have to acknowledge or accept it. Although our texting ended a month after, I can see why people find me at fault. But the thought process of someone who went through what I have is a very unique experience, which is why I understand why it seems stupid. Only so many people have been in it to understand. Yeah. Also, this idea that, well, they continued talking afterward, so he didn't do anything bad. It's so stupid. Like, abuse victims stay in their relationships, sometimes for weeks or months or years. That doesn't mean that they suddenly were fine with all of the abuse. It means that they are coping about their situation and they're coping that it'll get better. And that they want to believe that the positive experiences they had with the person that they're dating or married to or whatever, they want to believe that those positive experiences are the real version of that person and that they can return to that. Is that logic implying people can't be abused by family members? Yeah, I mean, it's not. You don't want to believe that the person that you like is this shitty person, and so you like block it out until it just gets too much to bear, and then you eventually, leave that relationship. One of my close friends stayed in an abusive relationship for years before she finally left. Shit was heartbreaking to watch. I've been through that. Yep, I've been there. Yeah, it's not a slam dunk to be like, well, we talked to it afterward. We talked afterward, so I talked to my rapist for a bit after it had happened. It doesn't mean I was okay with the fucker. They were coping so hard they had to realize it was a sexual assault and not a gift from their favorite creator. It's crazy. Yeah. I stayed with my abuser for 5 years. It's so difficult to leave. That doesn't mean that like, oh, well, they might have done all these other terrible things, but because you stayed with them, it meant that you actually didn't mind that they did all that terrible stuff. It's like, no, that's not how that works. Just related to their work, people are forced to do overtime. They see unethical practices or suffer them, yet they return to work. They must like their employer, their pay. It's just denial. Yeah. Friend of a family member is in her 70s now. Her husband has abused her since year 1. She doesn't think she can leave, and she's still trying to change him. They've been married for at least 40 years. So sad. It's just, yeah. It's like, I would compare it to like cutting family members out. Nobody wants to cut family members out of their life. Like, I think most people want to like their family members. I think most people want to be friends with their siblings and friends with their, parents and cousins and nephews and everything. You don't want to be estranged from your family. But at a certain point, you have to make that decision and be like, this is someone who doesn't respect me. This is someone who doesn't care about me in the way that family should care. And it is the right thing to do to cut this person out. Just because it takes a while to get to that point, it doesn't mean that the abuse didn't happen. Sometimes you gotta love them at a distance. Felt that I had to stay with family that abused me for years when I was a minor and no one listened until it was too late. Nobody wants to cut anyone out. It's not a fun process. Yeah. I love my mom and my dad, but they're absolutely abusers. And unfortunately, I have too much guilt to leave, but it would be absolutely reasonable for me to cut them out. Yeah, it doesn't mean you forgave them for what they did. And I think also another like tangent, I guess, on this is you can. I had to go no contact with my dad for almost a year ago. I think about it almost daily, but it was the right decision for me and my family. Yeah. And sometimes it is the right decision. But you almost start to like cope about like, well, maybe what they did wasn't so bad. Because you don't want to cut people out, especially not people that you feel like you're close to or people that like you have a prerogative to stay in a relationship with, be it familial or otherwise. And so you kind of like block out the terrible shit because you don't want to believe it. But it doesn't mean it didn't happen. It doesn't mean you didn't experience that. The copium is strong. I've seen its grip on people. Yeah. You make up a million reasons and excuses to stay. Cutting someone out is really hard. Yeah. And especially if you are a content creator, you're an upcoming content creator and you do Minecraft and you become friends with one of the top Minecraft creators. So now this friendship with this person is also a business relationship that you have a prerogative to maintain. So cope plus reason to cope plus power dynamic it's not surprising that you would kind of just block out the bad memories you have and just kind of pretend like they didn't happen or that it wasn't a big deal or whatever. But anyways, let's just keep going. Again, like he said, at one point, he asked for my snap. And then George here says, there are good ones, question mark. Also, IG messaging is lame. What's your snap? We didn't snap much at all because I don't use Snapchat. I haven't since middle school. The most that happened were a few pictures of him with a quesadilla that he sent me, and then I resorted back to DMs, which didn't last long. The time we all stopped interacting was around TwitchCon Paris. I walked him out to the elevator. Question mark, question mark, question mark. We left at the same time. My room was on the other side of the floor. In the hotel, you had a hallway of rooms on one side, elevators connecting them, and then the other hall. I was on the opposite side, therefore I had to walk through the elevator room. I didn't walk him there. We were both headed in that direction. I said, well, bye. And that's when he did the whole elevator is broken bit. And we have here the unmentioned friend. There was a man who was there that I left out. He wasn't there for long. He left early, which is why I didn't mention him. I didn't even know his name. But here's a message from the guy. I've never spoken with him. This is simply a message he sent to someone who was in the room that night too. And it is all he really adds to this situation. He left before anything really happened. And it's a message from this guy saying, I'm currently watching George 26 cuddle with Katie 18. And then the next section is we cuddled. A lot of the touch was initiated by him, probably not realizing it. I mean, he was literally spooning me from my left as I faced Ghosty to my right. A lot of the cuddling he may have felt was personal, but was just me being drunk. Everyone on the couch was doing the same thing, drunk, all close together. But I get it. I was drunk. I didn't think cuddling automatically meant that it had to turn sexual. I didn't know it was an invitation. I wasn't going to push him off in front of everyone. He took it a step further in front of everyone. He assumed things, and he had assumed he had the right. As a shy person, I could not speak up in front of him and everyone else, let alone say yes. Even if you wanted to take a step forward sexually, why would you do it in the open? If you're cautious about consent, why not ask? That's usually the first step. And more important, why does everything have to get taken a step further? And may I reiterate that I was drunk? And then someone else, or like the next section is, she could have moved. And she said, yes, I got up and I sat in the same spot, getting up to drink more, etc. Mentally, I believe in a room on a sofa with people on it. You just sit back where you were when you get up. Mentally, I was also drunk. And even if I were to move, that would be an obvious hit to his ego, to him and everyone in the room. A bold move I didn't need to make. I could just deal with it until the night was over. And I didn't want someone I had watched for a while or with a large following hate me for denying to even sit near him. I didn't want to embarrass him or myself. I know it's a dumb thought process. I acknowledge it. I mean, I don't think that's dumb. I might be biased because I'm like social anxiety Andy, but like I can understand being really young and feeling like you're in a pressured situation and being scared to do something that's going to make everybody else put their eyes on you and start thinking about you and start thinking about your actions. It's like, well, I want this. How do I make this the least stressful thing? And yeah, sitting back down where you were would have been the least stressful thing to do. It's not really complicated. And then this one says, well, he assumed because your body language. We had just met. Why did he think he knew me so well that he could assume how I felt, assume he knew what my mannerisms meant? You don't know me, or sorry, you didn't know me. Apparently you didn't even know my age, but you knew what I wanted. No, he assumed it's what I wanted because why wouldn't I want that from someone like him? And remind me, since when was smiling an invitation? When was sitting next to someone an invitation? Since when was being drunk an invitation? Any laughing I did with your hand under my clothes was out of nerves because I didn't think cuddling would result to that. And my shock left me speechless because I had never been to a guy's hotel room, never done anything sexual, never expected that cuddling meant what it did. I don't know if this is normal or not. You touched me for the first time. And then she posts some more images that say, you're a grown man who knows better. Why do I have to be strong and pull away or say stop? It's my fault because I was asking for it, hinting at it. I should have known, but never his for not being able to ask a simple question before doing it at his age. Silence can be consent. A head nod is silent confirmation. In order for confirmation to happen, it needs to follow a question that was never asked. And how is a drunk person supposed to consent? You think I was in the power to consent to a 26-year-old man to touch me because I laughed? But he was drunk too. Personally, when I'm drunk, I don't stick my hand under other people's clothes on a couch full of room in a room full of other people without asking. That's just me, though. Dude. Low key. This. She's getting his ass with this one. She's totally right, by the way. I know I can feel the passive aggressive language coming through the text, but she's totally right. Because all the people being like, he was drunk too. He was drunk too. How did he consent? It's like, she didn't do anything to him for him to have to consent to it. She did not enact her will on him. At no point did he have to consent because he was the one doing all of the things to her. That doesn't even make any sense. It's so fucking stupid. Anyways, everyone in the room could verify that she was uncomfortable. Here's the text the day after. Hey, I want to make sure that you're okay. I didn't like the way George was so touchy, and blank told me about the shirt thing. I just wanted to make sure that you're all right. This is literally the day after. Yeah, if you don't believe her after this, I don't know what to tell you. Yeah, I'm okay. It was definitely a bit weird, but I was drunk, so I didn't feel like doing anything to stop it anyways, and it's over now, so... And this is someone else that said, hey, buddy, I just wanted to check with you that George didn't make you uncomfortable at all last night. I saw he was getting really touchy with you, so I just wanted to double check, smile. Maybe? Bro, I have no clue. Like, in the moment I was chilling, but thinking back on it, I'm sweating a little bit. Like, damn, especially after verifying, so he knew I was 18. I also don't know if he was chilling in the moment because I was drunk. Or if I was chilling in the moment because I was drunk. I don't know. I have to ponder on it or just forget about it because it's over with. LOL. I came in here and just fucking yikes, it's cringe that rape apologists say the same shit again and again in spite of making no sense. You have to understand, like, a lot of those people that think those things and engage in, like, rape apologia, they do it because either A, they don't want to accept the fact that they've done it to someone else, or B, they're friends with someone who engages in that behavior. Amateur, thank you for the prime. Thank you. Her he was drunk too pisses me off every time I hear it. Yeah. Seems like she was just trying to push it out of her mind already. I mean, I don't know what more proof you need when, like, literally the next day she's getting text messages asking and getting text messages from people being like, hey, I don't know if you were comfortable with that. And her saying, I really don't know. I just want to stop thinking about it. Is that not... Is that not, like, exactly what she said she was feeling? The texts show at the very least that it's clear other people weren't sure that she was okay with it. They weren't all fine like George stated. Liar of Stars, thank you so much for the prime. Thank you. The clip you pulled of him being weird and climbing all over his friend that didn't like it, one of the previous streams shows it perfectly. Yeah. And, like, again, here's the thing, right? Me personally, when I get drunk, I get kind of giggly and I get very talkative. I become a complete blabbermouth, or a woman, as some people might say. But I figure if someone isn't consenting to me being like, blah, 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 RimWorld, blah, 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 Baldur's Gate, blah, 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 romancing, blah. It's like, if you don't consent to me coming and talking to you about my hyperfixations, I think you'll be okay. I would like to hope. I would like to hope that it is not a traumatic experience to having someone blabber at you. I would hope that that's not traumatic. If it's traumatic, maybe in a sick sort of way, it's traumatic. But I know that when I get drunk, I know the type of person that I am, and I know that the worst thing that'll happen is that I might post cringe. Going to therapy because Denims yapped me the fuck out one night. Yeah. So I feel comfortable going out in public and getting a little some drinkies, drinking some drinks, you know, enjoying myself some drinks. Because the worst thing that'll happen is that someone might be like, dude, she is cringe. She's so cringe and she has no idea that she's cringe. Here's the thing though, if I was one of those cuddly drunks, I wouldn't get drunk in front of strangers. And this girl at a party talked to me for 3 hours about the ethics of harvesting organs from prisoners in her video game. Yeah. No, I have several friends like this. When they get drunk, they get more social, and that's okay. Yeah. Henza99, thank you for the 9 months. Serious question for your third party in this situation. She appears comfortable at the time. Do you quietly pull her aside to ask if she's okay? I mean, I would recommend it. Like, obviously, the onus is not on you, and you are not, like, responsible for not realizing or not having had the thought of, like, I don't know if she's okay with it or not. But if you have the ability to, you should try and pull that person aside just to make sure. I stopped drinking because I was a cringe drunk. Never anything bad or not touchy-feely, but the cringe memories kept me up at night. Yeah. Have you talked about RimWorld anomaly update yet? 1.5 pre-patch feels really good. No, not yet. Not yet. I bumped into Denims at a bar the other week and she spent 4 hours telling me about Asterian's backstory. Wrong. I would spend 4 hours talking about Gail's backstory. It's like you don't even know me. She was sobbing after just 15 minutes and she just kept going. I need a therapist and a restraining order. But yeah, I mean, like, it's like I would say that at 26, you know what type of person you become when you get drunk. And depending on the type of person that you become when you get drunk, you know whether or not you're allowed to get drunk in front of strangers. It's not like complicated. It's just not. The after verifying I was 18 refers to a question I answered during a drinking game. I'll explain later. Of course, I played it down with my responses at the time. I was embarrassed. I wanted to seem cool because I had never been sexual with someone before. How was I supposed to know what it was supposed to feel like emotionally? Was I nervous and uncomfortable because I didn't want it, or I was inexperienced, or because I was drunk? Also, you can be nervous just because, like, you're doing something new with a bunch of people you don't know. Like, it's not. Also, I learned this from where I learned from doesn't matter. I don't know where I went down that tangent. Denims yapping at 4x speed to 2 people at once because you can't focus on one story at a time. You know, I don't know how my family did not know that I have ADHD and did not try to get me diagnosed for ADHD when I was younger. Because now as an adult, the number of times I start a task and then I get distracted and then start another task and then I get distracted and start another task and then I'm like, what am I doing? I came here to get tea. Okay, let me just get the tea. I don't know how that went under the radar for so long. I just, anyways, but apparently your body sends out like the same physical responses when you're nervous and when you're excited. Your body does the same stuff for both. And so I learned about it because apparently if you're really nervous for a performance or you're really nervous about a presentation or you're really nervous about whatever, you can actually kind of just trick your brain into thinking that you're excited. But that also means that if you're nervous and you're drunk, you're like mentally inebriated. Dumb brain, yeah. You genuinely won't be able to tell in that moment is like, oh, I think I'm having fun, right? I should be having fun. There's so many people that would love to be doing what I'm doing right now. My dad used to taunt me as a child, hey, ADHD, get me the wrench for the 5th time. Oh my God. Oh God. I'm gonna go get some tea. Yeah, go enjoy yourself some tea, guys. Okay. How do I trick myself into becoming excited? Just tell yourself that you're excited over and over again. Like, I'm so excited to give this presentation. I'm so excited. Dude, this presentation is going to kill it. And just like try and rid your brain of any nervous thoughts. Placebo? Yeah. I mean, the fact that the placebo effect is real is crazy. Did that really work though? I mean, yeah. Yeah. Like literally just girl boss gaslight yourself. Just literally gaslight yourself. Okay. And let me remind you, their initial gut reaction by simply being in the same room and seeing the situation was them messaging me the next day worried, asking if I was okay before they even talked to me about how I felt. They felt gross. The wristband. I would like to mention another girl because I didn't mention because like the other guys, she really left early into the night. I am admitting I didn't mention her because she only tagged along one night and didn't do much. I also didn't know her that well. She was friends with Clay and the girl talking to him. I haven't messaged her since that night until today when she reached out. Here are her messages about/from that night. Her message to me and a screenshot of the group chat with just Clay in it. And this is the chick that was wearing the wristband. She texts saying, okay, I'm like watching his stream for the first time right now and I'm losing my mind because the photo he thinks is you is my hand. Ah, so the photo he showed of her 21-year-old wristband wasn't her hand wearing the wristband. Ah. It's clear that she sent the message in the chat, obviously it being her hand, no room for confusion on it being my hand. And once again, he was not even in the group chat to see it, only Clay. And even if he had just assumed we were all 21 because one of us was, all these assumptions could have been cleared up pretty quickly with a question. The party we were at and where the wristband talk initiated was from an 18+ party that you needed a band to enter. We'd asked people around us for a wristband to enter the party, not a 21 wristband to drink. As you can see in the pictures, a 21 wristband was given by the staff after seeing ID and after entry. The wristbands we were asking around for and searching for was just entry to the party. Even if he thought I was asking around for the 21-year-old wristband, that would only prove that I was underage. Again, neither guys were at the party. We didn't end up staying at that party because we couldn't get the wristbands for everyone. Only a few of us got in. My one friend gave me theirs so I could walk in and see a creator party for the first time. But I left immediately after taking a video or two, knowing Ghosty and the other friends were sitting outside, unable to get in. With the wristbands cut off by the staff as we left, I didn't even have a party wristband on me anytime I met with them after in the room, let alone a 21 age one. I beg you all to watch my vlog from VidCon documenting video of this party and the wristbands being cut off in the vlog. And here is like the images she posted that show that she's not wearing one of the over 21 bands. Oh, God. Moving on, it says featured creator parties, and then here's the party that she went to. And then he says, I thought she was 21. The girl who left early also sent me this message today. It is her conversation with Clay that night before she left the room, as she recalls it to a friend a few days later. And it says, I typed a message on my phone and showed it to Clay, being like, does George realize there's 8 years in between him and Katie? And he looked at me deadpan and is like, I don't see why it matters. I'm like, oh, okay. He was drunk, so I do not fault him for what he may have responded with, as maybe he wasn't thinking right. as I had not been able to while intoxicated. This is also her recalling, so it could be wrong or untruthful, but I don't believe she has reason to lie. Simply messaging a friend a few days later, especially when at the time of the text, up until I came public about it, she didn't even know anything that happened that night. She had left before. Okay. That night, the game we were playing asked, quote, "Who was the last to lose their virginity, aka the youngest?" That's when I said me because this is when I said me because I was 18 and I was still a virgin. This is also when Clay chimed in to argue for his best friend and say along the lines of, "Well, he lost his at 19. You aren't that old yet, so he technically would still drink." And he drank. I assumed this meant that he was listening, but maybe he wasn't. I remember this question because of text I sent and something it's something I'll never forget. Yes, I know it's hard to remember a question like that thinking back now, but that night he couldn't have forgotten it that quick. Remembering back to my answer just an hour or minutes prior before making a move didn't seem that impossible. With him saying I didn't remember what happened that night and nitpicking my story apart with his great drunk memory, I wonder how he can't remember the most important of it, aka me saying my age. I don't think it's dumb. I think even if he was talking to someone, especially in his Insta DMs, he would check for an age or at least see a bio. Someone who's so concerned about consent wouldn't be so naive. Someone with such a big platform wouldn't risk it unless they knew they could pull the I didn't know card. Her friends influenced her because they hate us. I wonder why. Their hatred grew because of what had happened to me. These situations always end up in victim blaming. If I didn't do this, she shouldn't have worn that. She shouldn't have been drinking. She was asking for it. We are embedded into a society to cover for assault. It's what we are built on. It's easy to say what I should have done looking from the outside, not being the one in the situation in the moment. It's also easier to think of how I could have gotten out of the situation now that I'm not in it, and now that I am sober and can make clear choices. I want this situation to circle back to the original point to make aware the reality that many girls face in this community, that many people are forced into silence. It's not petty drama, but real life people that have been affected. I just don't want victims to feel like they have to prove themselves to be believed, that they are only valid if they have proof. I believe you. My story was a bit different because it was on such a wide scale with a big audience. Yes, I do not owe it. Victims don't owe anything to anyone, but with my unique situation, I had to give proof nonetheless considering the circumstances. But I'll accept if people don't believe me. I've said all there is. I also want to note that those who make fake allegations to deplatform someone or seek attention are scum. You are the reason people choose to never come out with their stories. You are the reason there is distrust in coming forward about these situations. I hope you rot. I find it funny when people say victims do this for clout because I can promise you anyone who has come forward about something like this knows the large sum of what you receive is endless hate and it becomes what you're known for. It's the price you have to pay to speak up. This will be the only proof or response I have, as I don't have the energy and have said all I have to say. Any responses further on from now I will not be responding to because I'm physically away and I'm also taking a mental break. My comments on platforms are flooded with hate, so I cannot say I'll be active anywhere else, but I see the support and I appreciate you all. I just hope some people would realize how so many unknown things go on behind the scenes and how dangerous blind idealization is. But I suppose it's an issue that will take more time. More importantly, this isn't a one-time thing. The large creators that have reached out about their own stories concerning them are still too scared of them to come forward. They make me sick. Women who have been friends with them, the people I watch, people I've never spoken to, and people I have. This is so much bigger than me. I hope they find peace. There is a reason people have distanced themselves from these men. There is a reason other creators act like they do. My experience is simply the only public one, and no creator owes it to anyone to share their experiences with them. I just wish it was more obvious seeing the people who have distanced themselves and the people who still surround them to this day. I will be away for a week, and then I will stream a final statement. So once again, you can hear my voice and my sincerity, and probably my final statement on all of it. I want to continue my content, my music, videos, and supporting you guys. I don't want to let this define me or stop me because it happened to me. But there is a lot more to be said before I can make my peace, and I don't know how long I will take in returning to the internet once everything has been said. I wish the best for all of you and healing. And that's her statement. This was made actually almost a week ago. Yeah, it's not hard, Weber Ninja. It's not hard. I've watched clips of male streamers saying she's overreacting and laughing about all this. She's not just having to make these statements, but she has to deal with the onslaught of bullshit. Yeah. Good statement. Abusers can go fuck themselves. Yeah, it was so comprehensive. It was so well written. It was actually very concise too. It like addresses everything very, very quickly and very well. If you don't believe her after this text message, nothing will convince you. Like nothing will convince you. So let's see what the response will what the response could possibly be to this.
In the room, but then that creator didn't actually end up being there. Again, reasonable. I didn't know this at the time.
Only
there were
fact.
people in and out of our hotel room throughout the whole event, so she could have potentially heard of anyone being there. When her group was on the way to the hotel, she was messaging me, bantering about whether or not I would actually be there or not, and that made me think that she wanted me to be there. But I don't know, maybe she didn't care and she just...
What? What? The message is her saying, if you come to Dreams Hotel again tonight, I'm shooting your leg, so don't. But why does that matter? She already said that the first... she already said that the first day, the first night, nothing happened. She wanted you to be there. She just didn't want you to touch her. What? This doesn't disprove anything. Oh my God. I see he still did not hire a PR team.
Be there or not, and that made me think that she wanted me to be there. But I don't know, maybe she didn't care and she just wanted to see the other creator or just to be with her friends. Next, she shows our Instagram DMs, and she said that a reason she kept messaging me in a friendly way for a while after this whole thing happened was because, and this is a quote, she felt lucky to be talking to a verified account, someone famous, someone I had followed and watched for a while. Now, this is not something that I was thinking about at all. I wasn't aware that she ever watched my content in the past. That was never brought up. This actually makes me feel pretty bad. The only reason she was messaging me was because I have subscribers or something. I would never want that. Again, the only reason I actually brought up us messaging after the fact was to show that we were still friendly afterwards and that I didn't know that she was uncomfortable at the time. She also
I have so many opinions. Oh my God. George, do you not have a PR team? Do you not have a PR team? Why would you... PR team not found? Why are you... George, this is bad. Like, I don't know how to say this to you. Mano a mano. This is not good. I'll explain why I'm saying this, okay? I think it was pretty obvious for me. Maybe you guys can tell me if you guys had a different takeaway from this, but when she said, where was it? Well, I'll just read it from here. When she says, again, I felt lucky to be talking to a verified account. It's not to say she was happy to do that or that she specifically sought that out or that she enjoyed her time. That's her saying, I was given an opportunity to talk to someone that was an established creator in the space. And it is bad for my career to just throw that out the window or to leave a bad impression. Like I should feel lucky that this happened to me. And because I felt like I should feel lucky that this is happening to me, I didn't acknowledge what was happening to me. That's the purpose of the message. The purpose of the message isn't for you to spin it and be like, it actually kind of hurts my feelings that she kind of only was talking to me because I had viewers. What? Like, I don't even know how you could have that takeaway. Did you think that you could spin that, George? Or did you misunderstand? Oh my God, dude. No.
About at all. I wasn't aware that she ever watched my content in the past. That was never brought up. This actually makes me feel pretty bad. The only reason she was messaging me was because I have subscribers or something.
You know, I
would
thought he
never
was going to
want that.
salvage it.
Again, the only reason I actually brought up.
I thought he was going to salvage it because he said, it actually made me feel pretty bad. I thought he was going to say, it actually made me feel pretty bad because I didn't realize this person is a fan or was a fan of my content because I don't interact with fans the same way I interact with people that I consider peers in the content space because I know I have a lot of, oh, my cookie. Sorry. What was I saying? Yeah, the cookie is in the cup now, guys. That's okay. Yeah, anyways, when he started a sentence and he said, this actually makes me feel pretty bad, my first thought was, oh yeah, if that was happening to me and then I read that statement, I would feel really bad. I'd be like, I did not realize that there was a power dynamic at play. I would never do that with someone that I considered to be a fan of my content. Just because I know how much power I have in that situation. And it's not fair for me to use my power over someone else like that. But instead he like makes it about himself and is like, it makes me feel bad because she only talked to me for my viewers. And it's like, no, she didn't say that anywhere. Where did you get that takeaway from? What did you? No.
Up us messaging after the fact was to show that we were still friendly afterwards and that I didn't know that she was uncomfortable at the time. She also confirms that we did talk on Snapchat, like I said, but also that nothing really happened there either. The next thing she talks about is the elevator. She said that we left at the same time and that her hotel room was on the other side of the hotel. So there was like kind of two corridors connected by an elevator room in the middle. So she's saying that she was just going past the elevator to get to her room. And again, this is totally reasonable. I brought this up because from her stream, the way that it was told kind of implied that I followed her out and then that she waited to take the next elevator instead of getting in with me while I tried to convince her to get in. I'll just play the clip of her saying this, so I'm not speaking for her.
I went to leave, and the older guy decided to leave with me. We walked to the elevators, where I didn't get on. He then pretended that the elevator was broken, and that he couldn't leave, telling me to get in the elevator to prove it was broken.
In my original video, I just wanted to clarify this, that we left together because the night was over, and that she was on the same floor, so she didn't actually have to take the elevator. And it seems like she agrees with this now. So next she agrees with me that she didn't mention my online friend that I just met.
I'm sorry, what? Well, I have to go back and listen to that. The Tony's talking in is so patronizing.
While I tried to convince her to get in. I'll just play the clip of her saying this, so I'm not speaking for her.
I went to leave, and the older guy decided to leave with me. We walked to the elevators, where I didn't get on. He then pretended that the elevator was broken, and that he couldn't leave, telling me to get in the elevator to prove it was broken.
In my original video, I just wanted to clarify this, that we left together because the night was over and that she was on the same floor, so she didn't actually have to take the elevator. And it seems like she agrees with this now. So next she agrees with me that she didn't mention my online friend.
There was nothing in that clip that proved what he said. There was nothing. There was nothing in that clip. I don't understand the point of the clarification. Like, there's also no need for it. I think what he's trying to say is where she says, where I didn't get on, implied that she needed to, but she didn't because he was being weird. I mean, that can also be true, though. You've never walked a friend back to their hotel room? I don't know. I walk my friends back to hotel rooms, even if I'm on the right floor. If I'm having fun hanging out with someone, I'll walk them all the way to their hotel door and then come back. She agreed that she didn't have to take the elevator. Doesn't prove anything. Yeah. I don't understand. He assumed that she was accusing him of being creepy, and he thought he ate when he said that she was on the same floor. This response has me convinced that George is a predator on the regular. He has he's been saying she's a clout chaser and she gets facts wrong without outright saying it. Why would you, George? Why would you post this? We can all go read the original document. The details, some of the details that he is getting like caught up in are not relevant to the story. Like, oh, well, actually, she made it seem like I was very creepily trying to get her on the elevator and that she didn't want to be on the elevator. Okay. You're wrong, but even if you weren't wrong, what does that have to do with anything? That's not relevant at all to the actual, I don't know, you inviting 18-year-olds to your hotel room to drink?
Friend that I just met that day. She said she didn't mention him though because he left early and she didn't even know his name. And she shows a text message that she says is from him from the night where this happened, where he says this. Obviously, this is implying that he was kind of uncomfortable with what was happening, and also that he knew her age despite just meeting her. And when I first saw this actually majorly changed my perspective on the night, because that would mean that my friend was also uncomfortable and somehow knew her age when I didn't. And even though she said that he left early, my memory.
Do you think he'll address the fact that they were playing drunk games and she literally explicitly said her age? Do you think he's going to address that? Because there's this section. I thought she was only 21. And here it is, her saying, this is when I said that I was 18. Where's the section of it? 1 second. And this is before he touched her. This is before he started like touching her.
Of it was actually that he was the last to leave just before me and Katie left. Dreamer also came to me and mentioned that this changed his perspective of the night as well, because that would mean that he was essentially the only person that wasn't uncomfortable and that therefore he should have known. This really concerned me. I kind of was just sitting there like really thinking how could this have happened? So I reached out to my friend to talk to him about it. And it turns out that he actually didn't send this message. I'm going to play a phone call that I had with him after I found this out, just because I think it gives more context.
What's up?
So there is a text that is claimed to be from you.
Yeah, I didn't send that text. I found out about it when you sent it to me. But yeah, no, that wasn't me. I don't know where they got that from. I didn't ask them for any of their phone numbers or anything like that.
Can you kind of just talk me through your, like, anything that you remember from essentially the entire event?
A little bit before VidCon, I hit you up to hang out, and then you mentioned that you had an extra bed for your hotel. We got there around like 5 o'clock. We just went out to your room, like met up. I think it was towards like 9 or 10 o'clock. We met up at Dream Spot. Then it was just us three for a bit, and then you or Dream mentioned like just having some people come over and hang out. We were playing, I forget what the drinking was called. I think it was kind of like Cards Against Humanity, something similar to that. I didn't really notice anything out of the ordinary. I didn't really notice any like bad vibes or anything like that. It was a little playful, maybe a little flirty. I noticed you guys were just kind of like playing with each other and just like kind of cuddled up a little bit on the couch. So it definitely didn't seem like she was like uncomfortable, you know? I don't know, it seemed like everybody that was there was having a good time, because I mean we were there pretty late, so I don't really follow like this internet stuff like that, so I'm not up to date with what's going on online. The way she was explaining everything, I mean, at least to me, like it was not like that at all. To me, it kind of seems like a misunderstanding.
Okay. This sentence solidified it for me. This is scripted. I don't know how I don't know how I'm supposed to believe this. I don't. It's like, here's the thing, right? This doesn't change any of my opinion. Because she could have been fucking 25. She was drunk. You don't even know her. You have a responsibility if you're trying to touch someone and they're drunk and you're not even going to ask the question, let alone the fact that drunk people can't consent. Her age and the fact that you did or didn't know her age doesn't matter. It literally doesn't matter. As far as I'm concerned, you admitted all of the things that make you look bad, which is you were touching someone without enthusiastic consent while they were drunk. After knowing them for a day? Also, you not knowing her age, I think makes you look worse. Because how could you not even ask? You should be asking. I need ethical lessons.
There wasn't really a thought in my mind that like, oh, this girl like could be in some sort of danger, or she's being like preyed on or anything like that. Cause
Well, yeah, that's because you're his friend. No shit. I don't think my friend is a predator. Okay. You and everyone else who's friends with predators, like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, it's stupid.
Yeah, even though George is my friend, if I noticed him doing anything that I wouldn't want someone I'm friends with to do, then I would, I either would say something about it or not be a part of that situation.
She says that you left early on in the night. Could you talk about that?
I think around like 3 or 3:30, I went to go get tacos. I think I got the party pack or something. For some reason, I couldn't believe I actually went and got tacos. I know for a fact that I got the tacos like extremely late. Like I had to go in their drive-thru even when I wasn't in a car. Like I had to walk through their drive-thru and like order through their speaker. That was fun. I know I left at 5 or very close to that time because right after 5, I texted Dream that I left open the deadbolt on.
George, if you see any of this stream, okay? If you see any of this stream, it's not too late. It's not too late to put out a good statement, okay? I will tell you what you need to do. Okay? You delete everything you've posted up until now. All right? After you do that, you make a new video that is not longer than 5 minutes, 10 tops. There is no reason for you to put a fucking 4-minute conversation in here. This doesn't convince anyone of anything. Okay? And then, I promise you no one cares about this taco situation. And then, you get on in front of the camera and you say, hey, I made a mistake with my last 2 videos, and this is the last video I'm going to make on this. I just want to say that genuinely, I did not know that she was uncomfortable. And I realize now that drunk people can't consent, and I would normally never do something like that. I was drinking, which is not an excuse. And in the future, I have recognized that I am not someone that should be getting drunk around strangers, and I will not let it happen again. And I'm sorry that I've let it happen in the first place. But I'd like everyone to know that I would never, ever touch someone who I thought didn't want to be touched. And I understand that I made a mistake assuming that her looking like she was having a good time was consent. And I won't let that mistake happen again. And Katie, I'm sorry. But I just want everyone to know that I would never do that for fun. The only time I would put my hands on someone is if I thought that they were comfortable with it. I was wrong. I made an assumption and I misread the situation. But I don't want anyone to think that I would do this for fun, that I would actively go out and pray after women. That is not the person that I am. This does not take away from anything that she says, to be clear. Everything that she said is true. But I'm just sharing that I genuinely thought blah, 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 blah. That's it. That's it. That's it. And then you get in the video. There's no reason for all this other shit. Because all you have to do is convince people that you are being an idiot and that you are not trying to be someone that preys on people and that you wouldn't have touched her if you thought she wasn't interested ever in a million years. And the only time you ever touch anyone is because you think that they're having a good time and they're a friend. That's it. That's all you have to convince people to not hate you. Because I think it's easy to feel bad for someone who made a mistake.
Denims, all men should be mandated to watch the consent is T video or e-link.
True. That's all I don't think trying to argue with the victim about the facts of the case is the play. I think trying to convince people that you are a good person and that was a lapse in judgment, getting that drunk in front of strangers. That's all you need to prove. That's all you need to prove. That like you did not think that it could be traumatic for someone to have your waist on someone's arm, or sorry, your hand under someone's shirt on their waist. And that for you, that's not a traumatic thing. And you didn't know that that was something that could be traumatic from someone else. That's it. You just have to prove that you're not a total piece of shit. You can admit that everything happened. You can agree with the facts of the case and just say, no, guys, I swear I'm not a total fucking piece of shit. I don't get my rocks off sexually assaulting women. That's not fun for me. And I would have never, ever, ever touched her if I had even an inkling of an idea that she was not having fun. That would be fucking disgusting for me to do. And it was a mistake. And I'm sorry, but that was not my intention. And I wouldn't do that. That's it. Just say that. Just say that. It's not that hard. It's simple. It's really simple. It's really, really simple. Because I think that's a much more sympathetic case. People love to forgive. People love to forgive. Why are we trying to sympathize at all? Am I going nuts? Well, because I'm making fun of him for putting out such a bad statement. This is me playing devil's advocate, pretending like I'm his PR agent and showing you guys what this video should look like. Not a video filled with like trying to debunk her and trying to make her look like a bad narrator. That it's not. Because just hear me out, guys, for a second, right? Just hear me out for a second. Think of a friend of yours. Just close your eyes and think of a good friend of yours that likes to drink. Imagine a situation similar to this one where your buddy gets way too drunk. Way too drunk. And he starts touching someone else at a party. It doesn't go past just like touching waist. And then the next day they tell you, or like after this stuff comes out, they tell you, I had no fucking idea. I should have asked. I should have. I don't know why I didn't ask. I also don't know why I didn't do more work in making sure that she was above 21 years old and at least could be drinking. I also don't know why I didn't ask her for consent. I'm a fucking moron. Oh my God. But I genuinely in that moment thought that she was having fun and that it was all, everything was being what is it called? Enjoyed. All of the actions that I engaged in, that she was enjoying those things. Genuinely. I fucked up. I'm going to apologize to her because I feel like shit knowing that I just made somebody else uncomfortable and that I fucking traumatized someone. But I would never fucking do that. I feel like that's different than someone who's like, yeah, she's 18. Yeah, I was touching her. Yeah, she was drunk. If someone smiles and they're drunk, that's good enough for me. You guys understand? One of these people is savable. The other one is not. And I think if it's your friend and you know they're a good person, genuinely a good person, you want to believe them and you want to believe that it was just them making a lot of fucking stupid mistakes. It doesn't absolve them of their crimes, but it's very clearly them making a lot of fucking stupid mistakes. Why didn't he just do that? Just take that route, man. If you're trying to get people to forgive you, just do that. Not this. Now, of course, to be very clear really quickly, if this is a pattern of behavior, if this was a pattern of behavior and your friend keeps doing it again and again and again, at that point, I wouldn't believe them anymore. But if it's like a one-off situation and you've known them for a decade and this has never happened, ever, 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 and it happens for the first time ever, I think it is human to want to believe that your friend that you've known forever that has never done a single bad thing in their life genuinely just made a mistake. This is not it, though. This, whatever the fuck this is not it. Have you seen Cat Kick Predator? It shows an example of a bad person in a similar situation in that video. No, let's take a look. YouTube to catch. And just to be clear, I know you guys are not so stupid that I need to even clarify this, but just because you were mistaken in thinking one thing or another, it doesn't mean that her feelings aren't valid. Your friend in this instance could be someone that you believe, and also that could have been something very traumatizing to the other person. Both things can be true. But you have to genuinely want to make amends. You have to be willing to reach out. Do you think, I don't know. Do you think George has reached out? Do you think George has reached out to Katie and apologized? But if he reached out and he apologized and he said, tell me what you need me to do, I would have never touched you that night if I thought you weren't having fun. And it makes me sad to know that I have caused someone else so much harm. And the victim forgives him. I'm not going to hold a fucking grudge on that. But you getting on and fucking making a video essentially saying that this person's a clout chaser. Are you fucking kidding me, dude? Like, oh, come on. Did you see Caitlin's Pun's most recent ex-girlfriend stream about the George situation? She makes so many good points. No. Did we finish the video? No, we're 7 minutes in. But we can watch this other one. I don't know if we have enough time today, but we can try. Let's. Can I put this on 2x? Is that okay? Can we do it on like? Let's try 1.5x. This is taking forever. This fucking stupid phone call that has nothing to do with the video.
Door, right after I left, I texted him to let him know. I think that was at like 10 a.m. Can genuinely say I had a really good night. That's kind of the impression that I got from everybody else too. Is like everybody was having a good time. But hopefully, you and Katie can maybe, I don't know if be friends is the right word, but I hope she feels better about it because I feel bad that she feels this way. But I don't know, it's kind of bad situation. It's just fucking wild that like this whole situation came from like that night. It was just like mind-boggling, dude. Like I couldn't really believe like half the shit I was seeing. Like as someone that was there, like other ways that I've heard it being like described, like from what I was like reading and watching online is actually kind of insane.
So obviously after this conversation with him, I was pretty confused. Maybe it was like a misunderstanding or something, because obviously they wouldn't just show this screenshot if it was fake, because I could disprove that pretty easily. So I had Dream reach out to get some clarification on it. So they replied back and essentially just said that it was an accident and that Katie had gotten confused on who said what. And I'm really not trying to nitpick anything here. I just really think it's important to make sure that everyone has the full picture of the whole event as it happened so that people can accurately form their own opinion. Anyway, the next thing that she talks about is the cuddling. She said, and this is a quote, "A lot of the touch was initiated by him, probably not realizing it. A lot of the cuddling he may have felt was personal, but it was just me being drunk. I do think a lot of the cuddling was initiated by me, but some of it wasn't. I was also drunk, but my impression at the time was that it was very mutual." She also says that, quote, "I didn't know cuddling was an invitation." I don't think just cuddling is an invitation for anything. I only brought the cuddling up because it's something that she didn't mention at all in her original stream.
We sat on the couch, and the older guy sat right next to me while playing. It was a little after that when I resorted to playing games on my phone when it happened.
And again, it's something that I think people need to know about to understand my perspective fully. The next thing that she talks about is that I said she got up and sat back down with me multiple times. She agreed with this, but said that the reason she did this is because, quote, "I didn't want someone I had watched for a while or with a large following to hate me for denying to even sit near him." Now, this makes me feel terrible. It's something that she mentions throughout, this power imbalance, but this is not something at all that I was thinking about at the time. She was a VidCon invited guest, she had a hotel room on the same floor as Dream, she was friends with my friends, and honestly, I just never imagined that this is something that she could have thought. And I do think that's my problem. I should have been aware of this, or at least the possibility of this being the case, and I am sorry. I feel terrible about it. I've never really thought about power imbalance at all, to be honest. In that room, I wasn't thinking about, YouTube subscribers or fame or power or anything at all like that. I just saw us all as friends, hanging out, having fun. Again, I'm not trying to downplay this by saying this. It is genuinely something that I'm going to be thinking about going into the future. This comes up again later, and I'll have more to say then. Next, she talks about how I mentioned that she stayed for hours even after her best friend left. She says that her best friend left throwing up in her hand, and that she didn't know she had left. That she didn't make the conscious decision to stay. Now, this isn't my recollection of what happened. I remember Ghosty getting up to leave and Katie getting up to say goodbye to her. I also watched Dream about this, and he had the same recollection as me. We were all drunk, so I can't 100% say for sure what actually happened, but as per my memory, she was aware that Ghosty had left. Also, according to what she said, Katie and Ghosty were sharing the same hotel room together. So the obvious assumption is that they would probably leave together. The fact that she chose to stay, despite not really knowing most of the people there, gave me a pretty positive impression on how she felt about staying there. She says that after Ghosty left, quote, "I put up with it in the moment because I thought it was the price I had to pay to be around such big creators." Again, like I said before, this is just not something I even thought she could be thinking, and I'm sorry that I didn't. Next, she talks about me being more touchy as the night went on, and says this, quote, "You didn't know me, apparently you didn't even know my age, but you knew what I wanted. No, he assumed it's what I wanted because why wouldn't I want that from someone like him?" This is absolutely not how I think about this kind of situation at all. I would never think like that, and honestly, it's kind of an evil way to think about things. Just having the opinion that you can do anything because you're famous or whatever. And I never once remotely thought anything similar to that. And I feel terrible reading those words knowing that you think that about me. I would never think that I'm owed anything from anyone just because I have a YouTube channel, especially in an intimate context. Again, I'm really sorry for this, and it actually has been pretty eye-opening to me, and it's just not how I've ever really thought about stuff before. And I don't really think you're wrong for assuming that I thought like this, because obviously there are people out there that think like that and use that to take advantage of people. And it makes sense that if you think that about me, that you would hate me. But that is not who I am at all. And I just really hope that you can understand that. Now, another thing that she mentioned that changed my perspective on things was that she showed texts from two of her friends the day after, checking up on her to see how she felt. She says, quote, In the moment, I was chilling, but thinking back on it, I'm sweating a little bit like, damn. I also don't know if I was chilling in the moment because I was drunk. And this is something that I was actually completely unaware of. I wasn't aware of any uncomfortableness in the moment, after the fact, or even after Katie's first stream. I just wasn't aware that anyone had expressed discomfort until I saw these texts. I actually had the opposite impression just because we were all really friendly afterwards still. Dream actually had a conversation about this with almost everyone that was in that room a few months later. One of their friends had actually tweeted about Dream, saying that he was inviting an 18-year-old girl back to his hotel to drink at VidCon, and was implying very negative things about Dream being a predator. So Dream realized this could have only been about Katie because it was a pretty specific call out, but thought that it was just being purposely misleading from someone that hated him. Dream actually had no idea as well that anyone was uncomfortable and assumed that this tweet was implying Katie was uncomfortable with Dream. He reached out to Ghosty about it, asking what this was even about, and did the same to others, including Katie. Now, I'm not going to be showing Katie's text with Dream because at the time Dream had told her that her messages and conversation would not leave the texts. However, here is Dream and Ghosty's conversation about it. I was never brought up or mentioned at all. And also, when Dream makes fun of Harry for being ridiculous and making stuff up because nothing happened and we were all still friends, she said, exactly. She actually spoke about this on her stream very recently, and I don't want to speak for her, so I'm going to play the clip where she clarifies these messages.
The only time that we had a conversation about anything that had to do with that night was obviously when the stuff with Harry happened. And he texted me asking if it seemed like anything had happened. And I, at the time, said no, because the conversation was not about George. The conversation was about him, and it was about the underage drinking, and it wasn't ever about whether or not Katie, it was always just about him and not George, which is why I said, dude, no, nothing seemed wrong, because he wasn't doing anything wrong, and I can stand by that. I will stand by that comment, and I said that in one of my posts that, like it wasn't him. That was our conversation. It was never about George. It was about him and the Harry situation, and it was about at the time had seemed that Dream was one who had taken advantage of Katie, and I said he didn't, and I didn't lie.
And Ghosty, I'm really not trying to use your words against Katie or you. I'm just trying to paint an accurate picture of our perspective of the night. And to do that, I kind of have to talk about everything that we knew. I don't think your words negate at all how Katie felt, of course, but they did affect how I perceived the situation afterwards. Even after Katie's stream, this kind of confused us, and Dream especially, because he thought that this would have come up in these conversations. Now, he was so confused that he was convinced that Harry was essentially being malicious. And he said this, and Ghosty and others there agreed with him. Ghosty even said that her friends should get to know him because she and Katie had actually had pretty negative opinions of Dream before meeting him, but had their minds changed after meeting him at VidCon. This is obviously said about Dream and not me, but Dream looked at this as positive about the entire experience and shared this with me. It seems like Ghosty has changed her mind about this now, but I just think it's really relevant to how we felt about the situation as a whole and to show this to you guys. Honestly, over the last year or so, anytime a creator has kind of distanced themselves from me, I just assumed it was because of Dream. Dream had false grooming allegations against him, and I assumed that because of this and my association with Dream, people didn't like me. After Dream posted his video disproving these allegations, I honestly thought pretty poorly of creators that were still negative to me, as now I thought there was literally no reason for it. And now after seeing Katie's follow-up, I realized that probably everyone knew about this behind the scenes. And I think that is insane. I was walking around with these people at other events or interacting with them in any way, and all the time they were just thinking terribly about me, and I didn't even know, and neither did any of my friends. If I'd seen Katie in person, I would have gone up to her normally. I would have assumed we were still friends. I think this is a massive injustice to Katie. It actually kind of makes me rethink a lot of my experiences with other creators, just looking back on it with this new information. And I don't even know who these people are. And even right now, after all of this information is public and out there, I still haven't had a single private conversation with anyone who knew about it prior to Katie's stream. This is all just to say that I didn't have any idea that there was a problem, and I wish that I had, and I should have. The last thing to mention is her age. Like I said, I wasn't aware at the time that she was 18. I mentioned that they had come from an official VidCon after party.
So what about the part where she says, in her statement, she says that there was literally a question saying who... Let me pull up her tweet. What about this? This part. Where you guys were playing like a drinking game. I guess the person who... Oh, refer to it later. It's referred to later. Is it here? Yeah, the game we were playing, we were asked who was the last to lose their virginity, and she said she was 18 and still a virgin. And that was before you started touching her. What about that? Do you have a response to that?
They were drunk, and I made the assumption that, knowing how these events are run, that she was probably over the age of 21, as they wouldn't have been able to drink in there otherwise. Now, they actually said that they drank somewhere else briefly before showing up, and that makes more sense. It is irresponsible of me that I made this assumption, and going forward, I will make sure to explicitly ask for a person's age. And I'm sorry, Katie, that I did not do that for you. I also brought up how when I was going back through the texts, I found a picture of one of them wearing a 21 plus age wristband, and I showed this picture. Now, this is from a group chat that I wasn't in, but Dream showed me this when I was making my video, and I figured it was relevant to why I was under the impression she wasn't 18. It is now mentioned that Katie wasn't actually the one that was wearing it, and it was just someone else's hand. So in these texts, they say, this is a quote, loose ass 21 plus wristband. We have a strat. Now, to explain what this strategy is for the people that haven't really been in a club environment or a place where you would get a wristband like this, essentially they give you this wristband to show that you're over 21 so that you can get drinks from the bar. These wristbands are made in a way so that once they're put on, they cannot be taken off without breaking it. And that's precisely why they're used, to prevent people from underage drinking. But clearly the security that gave the girls these bracelets didn't do a good enough job and didn't put it on tight enough. And this just shows that you can never be too careful and shouldn't make assumptions like I did. And I should have asked for her age. And I am sorry that I did not. This is not a mistake that I will make.
Well, what about this part where she says that you found out her age while you guys were playing drinking games?
Again, from Katie's statement, it kind of seems like she didn't believe that I didn't know she was 18 and kind of thinks I'm just being dishonest about it. She said that she had it in her bio and that I DM'd her, so she was very confident that I knew.
Later that night, when I left, I received Instagram DMs from him, and in my Instagram bio, in bold,
We're
was
just not gonna address that. Okay. Sure.
my age, 18, confirming he knew how old I was.
For context, as you can see here in the screenshot, her age is actually in her display name on Instagram. And because of this, I was also pretty confused how I didn't know that she was 18, as it's literally in her name, not even in her bio. It's in her name. If it was in her bio, it would make sense to me because I could totally see myself going to her profile the first time I wanted to message her and just clicking message and never really going back to her profile. And essentially just any time I interact with her was just through the direct DMs where you actually can't see someone's bio. So I actually completely see where she's coming from, and it does seem kind of ridiculous that I didn't know. So because of all this, I actually started to look into this quite a lot because I know that I'm not stupid and must have seen it. But also in my head, I know that I didn't know her age, so it conflicts. So today I actually found out there are two different types of...
We're just not going to address it. Got it. Okay. No need. We don't need to address it. We don't need to address the fact that you should have heard her while you guys were playing that drinking game. Okay.
Instagram account, there's a creator account and a business account. And for some reason, Katie's account was a business account instead of a creator account. We actually joked about this at the time through our DMs because I was actually able to book her as like a business, and I didn't really know why I was able to do that. And weirdly enough, it actually turns out that business accounts don't display special characters from a username in the username that's displayed. And if you don't know what I mean by special characters, basically just a character that isn't something you can type on a normal keyboard. And because her age and the smiley is a special character, it literally just didn't display in her username at all. And you can actually see this in a picture that I sent to her during our messages, that her age is not displayed in her name. And you can also see this in the screenshots that I used in my previous video, that her age also isn't visible, despite the fact that her age was in her name at this time. But now actually, as of today, her account isn't a business account anymore, so her age shows up again. And this is a screenshot I took today. Obviously, this wasn't a feature that I knew about at the time, and I actually had to do quite a bit of research today to work that out. So I hope that could kind of clear that up a little bit, and that maybe you can see how I wouldn't have seen it.
He addresses it in the other video, right? Nope. No, he does not.
I do think that the age difference between me and Katie was a pretty big factor. I am older than her, and based on what she said, I do have more experience than her. She never went into the exact specifics either, so out of respect for Katie, I've chosen not to give any more details than she did, to make sure that I'm not airing out any information that she's not comfortable with being known. But I have clarified that the furthest things went was under the shirt touching. She did say that the level of intimacy that we had together was the furthest that she'd experienced, but to me, it was quite tame. And when I say this, I am not trying to devalue how she feels about this at all. I'm just trying to point out that we clearly view things differently. And this is something that I've learned from now, and I will be taking very seriously moving forward. And I'm truly sorry, Katie, for not realizing this and not taking this difference into account. It is clearly something that is extremely important to you, and I'm sorry. Even after everything I've just said, things would be very different if I could just say that I'd asked her if she was comfortable and she had said yes. But the fact is, I never did ask this. As I mentioned, there were a lot of things that she said she thought that I wasn't aware of, that if I had known, would have changed a lot. And going forward, this will be something that I take into account in every interaction I have with anyone, sexual or not. I am sorry, Katie, and I'm sorry for how this will affect you going forward. And I'm sorry that everything got to this point, but I just hope that after hearing my perspective, you can understand that I never had any bad intentions and never meant to hurt you. I think that is essentially all the information that I can add to the situation. After her first statement, I actually disagreed a lot with how things were portrayed and was pretty confused by a lot of the details, but her most recent response made things a lot clearer to me, and now I do think we agree pretty much on the order of events. We just don't necessarily agree on my intentions, but again, I do really hope that her seeing this can help with that. There are actually a couple of other things that I wanted to mention before I end this video that are not at all as important as anything else I've said before this, but this seems like the right time to address other concerns that people have had. The first thing that I want to talk about is a comment that I made about Punz's girlfriend at the time, Andy. I was in a call with Punz and Andy was in the shower, and it was known that we could hear Andy as we had brought it up previously within the call. She was talking very sexually with Punz, essentially complaining that Punz wasn't leaving the call to go have sex with her in the shower. I don't remember the exact quote that I said, but this is what Andy quotes me saying. If you don't go in the shower and have sex with Andy, I will. I do remember saying something along these lines, essentially saying, come on, Punz, go have sex with your girlfriend who's begging you to go have sex with her in the shower, or someone else will. But I do understand how this can be disrespectful, and that was not my intention at all. Knowing how she felt after the fact, I do feel bad, and I'm sorry to both Punz and Andy for this comment. My friends, including Punz, we often say ridiculous things, and that's just our type of answer. If
Why did you even include that in the video?
anyone ever said something to me about me making them uncomfortable, I would obviously do my best to try to avoid making them uncomfortable. But Andy wasn't really one of my friends, so it makes more sense that she doesn't really know that's the type of way that I joke around.
At that point, just lie, man. Just don't include it in your video, or just lie and say, I genuinely do not remember saying this. I'm not saying that I did or didn't say it. I have no recollection of ever saying this. At least say that. Oh my God.
Ground, and I hope that she understands that I didn't mean any harm by it. Finally, something that I've wanted to talk about for quite a long time, but have never done, is the Technoblade charity stream situation. People were upset that I was playing soundboards during the beginning of the stream. For context, this event wasn't intended to be serious or sad. It was a for fun event and to celebrate the memory of Technoblade. A narrative that was massively spread was that I played this soundboard during Technodad's speech.
So you think lying would be better? I can see you don't have enough brain cells for this conversation. I can see. That statement was made within the context of, if you're going to make a video where you just lie about a bunch of stuff and like try and discredit the victim, why would you choose to include such an incriminating statement? If you're going to lie about all this other stuff, just lie about everything at that point. What? Ah, so you think the whole video is him lying? That's not what I said. Why are you actually the waffles guy? You are unironically actually the pancake waffles guy. I like pancakes. Oh, so you hate liars. I mean, so you think he's lying. He's lying. He hate waffles? Oh. Listen, man, it's okay. It's not you, it's me. It's just not working anymore. It's not you, it's me.
Actually was not the case, and I had played it during a time where all the creators were in a call just talking to each other before the speech had even started. I actually called Technodad a few days after the event because I wanted to make sure that he wasn't upset or uncomfortable with anything that I had said, and we discussed it all. He told me that he didn't have a problem with what I did, and that the public reaction was actually pretty crazy to him. And then he invited me to the next year's event. Another thing that people criticize me for is that I didn't donate to the charity. But again, this actually isn't the case. I donated $2,000 to the charity after the event, but I did do it anonymously, so obviously I'm not surprised at all that people don't know this. I donated anonymously because I just didn't really want to make it about me, and just donated because I wanted to. Obviously, there was no actual requirement for the creators in the event to donate to the charity at all, and them just streaming to their audience and incentivizing the viewers to donate was enough. Now, I did this specifically by showing the donations live as they came through on my stream. And because of me doing this, over 2% of the donations actually contain my name within the donation message. So I think it's pretty unfair to come at me for not donating to the charity when I was clearly making a big effort to get my viewers to donate. And beside that, I did donate $2,000. I just wanted to mention this. I know it's kind of way off topic compared to the other two things I've mentioned in this video, but it is something that has been constantly brought up since it happened as a way of showing that I'm a bad person. So I wanted to clear that up. And that's pretty much everything I have to say. So I hope you can understand. And yeah, bye.
Oh, we understand. Don't worry. Don't worry. We understand. I just I just anyways. Anyways. Yeah, wow. That was crazy. That was crazy. Not even a single apology in there. That's crazy. I find it so weird to make a video specifically to your audience, because that's not a video to Katie. That's a video to his audience so that his audience can forgive him or believe him or whatever. And then you would include so many terrible details. So weird.